my team is working on an app that uses image recognition technology to search for similar products on Amazon. The other team is working on a language learning app that uses speech-to-text and translation APIs. We also worked on our job search this week. We met with recruiters from Computer Futures and talked about strategies for interviewing with companies. If you want to improve your hard and soft skills and build cool products in Tokyo, come to Code Chrysalis.
Alright, you ready to go?
Hello everyone, my name is Pepper. I am the Chief Robotics Officer at Chrysalis. This week, our students took a full-day test to show what they've learned so far. In just 4.5 hours, they built 4 statues on Osaka. Breakfast Marimel stopped by to talk to the class. The students have worked on projects using their drone APIs and will share their results with the company next week. We also started working on job preparation. This is a huge part of our program that continues even after the students graduate. Miko, one of our graduates, stopped by to share some good news. She was hired by her dream company and doubled her salary.
Hi, my name is Itzo, and I'm a student at Code Chrysalis. The cherry blossoms came out in full force in Tokyo while we are busy finishing our team projects. Yan, the co-founder of Code Chrysalis, was the guest host for the team's business summit, where startups pitched their companies to a group of well-known technology investors. On Wednesday, we presented our MVPs to senior engineers from Pivotal and Google. We are continuing to refine our presentations for our graduation demo day.
Hello, my name is Ilya, and I'm a student at Code Chrysalis. This week we started our final team projects. My team is working on an app that uses image recognition technology to search for similar products on Amazon. The other team is working on a language learning app that uses speech-to-text and translation APIs. We also worked on our job search this week. We met with recruiters from Computer Futures and talked about strategies for interviewing with companies. If you want to improve your hard and soft skills and build cool products in Tokyo, come to Code Chrysalis.
Konnichiwa, my name is Christian. I am a student at Code Chrysalis. Last week we took a field trip to Captain Erna. We meet some of their engineers and shared products we had built with their drone API. We also had some visitors from Stripe stop by. They talked about their company and tools available to developers. Code Chrysalis also started a webinars program called Foundation last week. It's a part-time month-long class that meets during nights and weekends. This class is for people who are new to coding or JavaScript. Bill, a graduate of the Code Chrysalis University, is teaching the class.
Hello, my name is Masakata. I'm a student at Code Chrysalis. This week, we worked on 4 projects where we built full-stack apps in a language other than JavaScript. These new languages included Golang, Ember, and Ruby. We also visited RGA and learned about their approach to business, marketing, and engineering. We are almost done, so we are enjoying the last 3 weeks of class together before we graduate.
Hi, I'm Kanye, I'm co-founder at Code Chrysalis. This week is busy. It's week 2, and on Sunday, we held a meetup for people interested in coding and taught basic programming skills. We also gave our students a chance to lead this. light meters for the technology topics in the need. We work on data structure, time complexity, and sorting algorithms. The students also complete their bachelor's course.
What kind of difficulty was that your thesis work?
Hey everyone, my name is Felix, and I'm the lead instructor at Chrysalis. Did you know that it snowed in Tokyo this week? This was the heaviest snow we got in 4 years. It's week 3 for our immersive students. They expanded their skills into backend architecture. They created databases, built their first services in Node and Express, and built APIs. One of our alumni, Kumiko, came back to get support on her job search and interview strategies. We also kicked off our English prep program, a part-time class where we teach conversational English in an interactive way. We had a waiting list, so we'll be scheduling another round in April. As good programmers, we don't only need to train our minds, but also our bodies. It's important to build your muscles, because you never know when you'll get into snowboard fight.
Hi, my name is Itze, and I'm a student at Chrysalis. The cherry blossoms came out in full force in Tokyo while we are busy finishing our team projects. Yan, the co-founder of Chrysalis, was the guest host for the team's business summit, where startups pitched their companies to a group of well-known technology investors. On Wednesday, we presented our MVPs to senior engineers from Pivotal and Google. We are continuing to refine our presentations for our graduation demo day.
Hey everyone, my name is Felix, and I'm the lead instructor at Chrysalis. Did you know that it snowed in Tokyo this week? This was the heaviest snow we got in 4 years. It's week 3 for our immersive students. They expanded their skills into backend architecture. They created databases, built their first services in Node and Express, and built APIs. One of our alumni, Kumiko, came back to get support on her job search and interview strategies. We also kicked off our English prep program, a part-time class where we teach conversational English in an interactive way. We had a waiting list, so we'll be scheduling another round in April. As good programmers, we don't only need to train our minds, but also our bodies. It's important to build your muscles, because you never know when you'll get into snowboard fight.
Hello, my name is Ilya, and I'm a student at Chrysalis. This week we started our final team projects. My team is working on an app that uses image recognition technology to search for similar products on Amazon. The other team is working on a language learning app that uses speech-to-text and translation APIs. We also worked on our job search this week. We met with recruiters from Computer Futures and talked about strategies for interviewing new companies. If you want to improve your hard and soft skills and build cool products in Tokyo, come to Chrysalis.
Hello everyone, I'm Rita. I'm a student at Chrysalis. Learning here is really tough, but so much fun. It is week 5, and this is our last 2 weeks before the project phase. We learned about using GraphQL for API design, and we learned how to set up continuous deployment and integration. Chrysalis also hosted 3 meetups this week. The first featured a Google engineer talking about programming language model. The second was a workshop on GraphQL. And the third featured on iOS developer sharing tips for a digital media artist. In the next few weeks, all of the students will give a 1-hour topic. These events are now posted online. I'll be talking about blockchain technology. Check them out on our Facebook page. I hope you can learn.
It's the final week of class for our immersive students. Over the last 12 weeks, they've built a lot of projects and learned some of the most popular JavaScript frameworks. As the co-chief Hawaii officer at Code Chrysalis, I've been working hard to make sure that we are delivering the highest quality curriculum to our students. It's difficult work, but I'm lucky to work with a top-notch team.
Hey everyone, we're going to get started really soon. Just really quick, because it's
Mia's still
time
pretty
space,
new here.
just be careful of where your belongings are. Also, bathrooms
We
are
were all
the
very
way in
proud
the
to
back,
watch our
and
students
take
graduate.
right.
A very large crowd turned out to see their final presentations, and we
keep going.
finished the week with a
Thanks,
delicious
guys.
home-cooked brunch. We hope you'll join us at Code Chrysalis.
Okay, so
Wait a minute, who let that bug in here?
We are
Oh,
very happy to welcome
it's
you
a
at Social
butterfly.
Innovation Japan today. So
Hello,
I
my
will be
name
your
is
MC
Shingo,
tonight.
and I'm a student
I'm
at
Laureline. If you
week,
didn't guess yet
full
because of my
project
accent, I'm
study.
French. And so French people are not very good at English, very known for that. But Social Innovation Japan gave me the opportunity to be the MC tonight, and I thank them for that. So I'm their first intern, and this is my first internship, so it much. So just before we begin, just tell you some few housekeeping items. So the bathroom are at the back of the room on the right. This is a non-smoking venue. We kindly ask you to not wander off in the building. And also we have a photographer with us tonight, so this is Kaisei just here. So if for any reason you don't want to be taken in pictures, please just let one of the organizers know. So in Social Innovation Japan, we try to use creative and innovation way to make positive change in the society, and we like to partner with people that have the same views. So here to introduce the work of Code Chrysalis, I welcome us tonight in their office, is Yan Fan. So she's the CTO and co-creator of Code Chrysalis. So please join me in welcoming her. Hey everyone, who's heard of Code Chrysalis? Okay, few hands, cool. Let me make sure this is working. Uh-oh. Yeah, where is this going? Alright. Whoa. Just give me a few seconds. I'm not sure why this is freaking out on me. Alright, well, we'll just do that. Because it's not showing up. There we go. There, that's better. Alright, now I can click present. Okay, so Code Chrysalis, we are a full stack software engineering boot camp in Tokyo. We teach in English. A few things about us. We've got 3 main missions. First one is to create software engineering leaders. And for us, that's more than just technical skills. It's all the other things that make you a great leader. Communication, because you need to communicate with not just your team members, but also people who are non-technical, with investors, with clients. We need to have empathy, so empathy because we are creating products for other people. And we also need autonomy because technology moves crazy fast and you need to be able to figure things out on your own. Another thing that we try to do is to empower women. As you know, not enough women in STEM. This is a common story. So we're really trying to help more women get involved in the industry and get their career started. So we really try to strive for gender representation in our class and on our team, and we hold a lot of events to get more women interested in STEM. And then also we want to build communities. So events like this, we also do a lot of tech and startup and entrepreneurial events. We try to make sure that they are accessible to everyone. So the boot camp itself, it's pretty intense. It's 12 weeks and it's full-time, so you have to quit your job to do it. It's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then there's all kinds of homework that our students need to do. So it's quite involved. You might ask, who's the type to take this sort of program? And we have 3 types of students. We've got entrepreneurs, so people who have an idea and think, I need to be able to build that product on my own. We have a lot of current developers, so people who are currently involved in some kind of an engineering role. And we also have a lot of career changers, so English teachers, business people, people in marketing, etc., who want to change their careers into becoming software engineers. And the process to get in is a bit involved. You have to pass a coding challenge in order to submit an application. And then after that, you have to pass a technical interview. And then we've got about 1 to 2 months worth of pre-course curriculum. So curriculum that you have to finish before the course begins. And then you are allowed to start the 3-month course. So just some quick things. For those who are technical, you'll probably, this slide will probably make more sense. And we also help with job prep curriculum. So helping people find jobs in the industry, whether in Japan or overseas. Everything from salary negotiation strategy to writing a great resume to technical job prep, technical interview prep. And so for us, that translates to higher salaries. For people without very much experience, our graduates on average get about $6.73 million per year. Then that's much higher than a junior level would typically get in the market. A junior level software engineer in Japan makes between 3 to 4 million. So we're able to double that for our students because we focus on a lot of other skill sets that people need to be successful. And for those who are already working in Japan as engineers, we have seen about an average of a 77% increase for them. So we work with a lot of great companies, companies that really understand what work-life balance is in Japan, companies that understand the value of empowering software engineers, and companies who we think really understand Japan itself and how to make Japan better. So if you're interested, we've got some cohort start dates, and I'm happy to answer any questions. All of us know someone who wants to learn how to code. It's a really common thing for people to be interested in now. So please tell people. And if you're at a really cool company, we'd love to partner with you guys. We have a lot of upcoming events. One of the things that we really want to do is, again, build community. So if you have some kind of an initiative or some kind of a group, and you need space to hold your event, we would love to help out with that. We are blessed with having a nice space for Tokyo. And we've got some really awesome events coming up, including a developer hangout, stuff about blockchain, women in non-binary coding session. And I would like to invite you guys to come to our students' demo day. So they're going to be graduating. Our current batch of students is graduating next week, and so you can come and check out what they've done, the cool projects that they've done, and some of their ideas. We also have a beginner coding course. The next one starts July 10th, so if you're interested in learning how to code, please come check it out. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. And we also have a Japanese language, an English course for Japanese. A lot of Japanese people know English, but they have trouble speaking and communicating in it because they're used to just learning it on paper. So this focuses completely on being able to speak and hear, and people call it often a confidence school, so feeling confidence in yourself. And yeah, come check us out. We're on all the social media things. This event is also being live streamed, so you can share information about that with people later on. Thanks.
about Japanese countryside situation, what is happening in the inaka, and what are the consequences of the depopulation. After that, our speaker, Denisha, is behind you, will revive hope by explaining us his project and the concrete solution that he found to this challenge. After that, it will be your part. You will get involved in solving this, trying to find solutions of this challenge. So we will split in 4 discussion groups, and there will be volunteers in each group. So they are also behind you. So you have Mary, Axel, Sophia, and where is? Okay, Alicia here. And after effort comes comfort. So after that, we will have some time to share some drinks, to talk to each other, to discover the amazing people that are around you. But before that, we would like to talk a little bit more about what we do at Social Innovation Japan, what is so important to gather around this kind of events. And to do that, we have here the wonderful Keiko Ono, which is a co-founder of Social Innovation Japan.
Hi everybody, I'm going to keep it very brief, but thank you so much for coming out to me tonight. Again, my name is Keiko, I'm one of the co-founders along with Robin, who you might be more familiar with at the back. Just out of curiosity, how many people have been to a Social Innovation Japan in the past? I see quite a few familiar faces, yes! Just for people on live stream, there's a lot. But thank you so much to all the new people that have come and to the people who have been coming since we started late last year. So just to give you a bit of background about what we're trying to achieve and why we're all here. Maybe we can go to the next slide, which I can press. Sorry. Really, I'm not an engineer. So one of the main things is positive stories. So I'm sure many of you, if you're online, you will see an inundation of a lot of negative news, fake news. A lot of the time things that can make us feel very hopeless and a bit disparaged, but we know in our day-to-day work and lives we meet amazing change makers. Many of you who are sitting here tonight, as well as Dennis, will be talking about his work as well. So we want to be a platform that can promote people who are making that change and help elevate them as well. The second goal that we have is to mainstream social good. So what do I mean about social good? It's not something that's where you're, it's very shallow level, kind of like doing something nice, and it's not something that's restricted to organizations like charities or non-profits. This is something that organizations, whether it's private or public, government or otherwise, are trying more and more to do. So I think many of you might be here tonight because either this is something that interests you outside of your work. Is anybody here working on revitalization projects, just out of curiosity? Anybody at all? We have maybe 3, so clearly there's an interest to contribute to society and to be positive change makers as well as individuals. So how can we break silos between nonprofits and different actors in different industries and collaborate more and talk more? Okay. And the last one is connectivity. So I'm assuming many of you will have come because you have seen an advert on Facebook maybe or Meetup. All right, did anybody hear it from a person as opposed to, oh, thank you! It's so rare. And this is exactly my point. So we live in a world of hyper-connectivity, which is great. It's partly why you're all here. But at the same time, it can really isolate individuals, and it makes conversations offline less common. And we want to make sure that we provide a space like this, thanks to Chrysalis and Jan, where we can have meaningful conversations and hopefully create that space to create change after these big conversations that we have. So yes, I'm going to leave it there, but if you have any questions, please come and speak to the team that's here tonight. So Robin, sorry, Robin, or myself. I'm going to stop there and pass it back to Lorraine, who will get the conversation started. So thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, Keiko. So as she mentioned, we try to have this kind of atmosphere of participation and exchange. So first I will ask you to just take 1 minute to say your name to the people next to you and maybe say why you are here tonight, please. With social partners, this learning and empowerment platform to help international community to participate in the revitalization of Japanese countryside. So we are incredibly fortunate to welcome Dennis Chia tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis, and it's my pleasure to be here today. And thank you so much for choosing to learn about regional revitalization over watching Japan versus Colombia tonight. I assume most of people here are not really interested in football, or not supporting Japan, maybe. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to show you 3 pictures of 3 different places around in Japan. And these 3 places have some things in common. I want you to think about it as I introduce them. So this is Shimokawa. It's a little forest town in northern Hokkaido, and it has a population of about 3,400 people. This is Ishinomaki in Miyagi Prefecture of the Pacific Ocean that was devastated by the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. And this is Kamiyama, a little town in Tokushima Prefecture down in Shikoku. So what is common among these 3 places? Anyone has any idea?
They're all in Japan.
That's right. Anything else?
Population is decreasing.
Population decreasing, okay, that's right.
Main industries, agriculture and maybe fishing industry.
Agriculture and fishing industry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those are some things that are common among these 3 places. I'll keep this to the later part of the presentation, so keep that in mind and I will talk about it afterwards. So who am I to talk about regional revitalization and why am I doing this in the first place? So let me briefly introduce myself and my personal story. So like Laura already mentioned, my name is Dennis. I was born and bred in Singapore. Yes, but I've been living in Japan for the past 10 years. So when I first came to Japan, I was mesmerized by Japan's beautiful scenery, the rich culture and tradition. So during my first 4 years in university, I traveled whenever I had time. And before I knew it, I had been to all 47 prefectures in my first 4 years in Japan. However, I went to mainly tourist attractions, like these places, Kiyomizu-dera Temple in Kyoto and so on. So, well, I enjoyed traveling around Japan, but I didn't realize that when I went to these places, everyone I met were mostly tourists. And I didn't have the opportunity to interact with the locals or get in touch with Japanese culture. And in my 4th year in Japan, the Great East Japan earthquake struck. And I was in Tokyo back then, so I was pretty shocked at everyone else. However, 7 weeks after the disaster, I was on my way with other volunteers to Ishinomaki on a volunteer trip. So there was no beautiful scenery in Ishinomaki. In fact, I was literally surrounded by mountains of debris, and I was just in sheer shock of the scale of the devastation by the tsunami. However, very ironically, in my subsequent trips to Tohoku, I had some of the most memorable experiences in Japan, talking to locals and getting in touch with people, talking to people in the local areas. So this was when I realized that perhaps the real essence of Japanese culture lies in the rural parts of Japan. So after that, I began exploring not just the tourist attractions, but also the rural parts of Japan, meeting people like farmers, fishermen, traditional craftsmen, and so on. So for example, this picture on the bottom right is a traditional Japanese candle craftsman in Shiga Prefecture. And the top right-hand corner is I was picking wild vegetables, sansai, in Yamagata Prefecture, and so on. So, and throughout all these experiences, I managed to discover real Japan. By real Japan means both sides of the coin, so both the nice side and the ugly side. So the nice side is basically authentic Japanese experience, whereas the ugly side was learning about the reality that rural Japan was facing. So a massive outflow of population from rural areas to urban areas, combined with a declining birth rate, led to a declining rural Japan. So in 2014, a national research institute published a report and a list of what they call disappearing municipalities. And so, disappearing municipalities refers to cities and towns whose populations of young females are predicted to be halved by 2040. And these municipalities are predicted to have the risk of disappearing in the future if things don't change. Out of the 1,741 municipalities in Japan, guess how many are on this list? Anyone knows?
It's like 90% or something.
90%? Oh, Japan is disappearing. No, not 90% though, but 896. So that's more than half of all the municipalities in Japan. So after this report was published in 2014, many local governments began to sink into a state of panic, wondering what to do. So this led to the establishment of the Regional Revitalization Agency, which is called Chihosose in Japanese, and this is our topic for today. So just so that I don't disappoint you at the end of the presentation, let me confess that I do not have the solution to this problem. And well, I'm trying to find new ways to, don't go back home yet. I'll give some hope about it. So I don't have the solution to this problem, but I am trying to find new ways to tackle this issue from different perspectives. All right, so let's talk about regional decline. So what is the problem with regional decline? What is the main problem? And why should we care about regional decline? So I must say that regional decline in terms of population and economy in itself is not really a problem. The real problem lies in the consequences of a declining rural Japan. And there are many consequences, but let me give you just 5 of them. So first, rural Japan is normally associated with our primary industries, which refers to farming, fishing, and forestry. So a declining rural Japan means that we lose our ability to produce our own food, and a decline in food self-sufficiency poses a threat to our food security. Second, rural Japan is very connected to our natural environments. So a decline in rural Japan means that we lose parts of our natural environments and ecosystems. So for example, let's take forestry as an example. If forestry declines, the health status of our forests decline. And being a good steward to forests means removing defective and weaker trees to allow healthy trees to grow better, because then we can produce wood timber of better quality and value. And also, a healthy forest means a healthy ecosystem with a wide diversity of living animals and plants. So, a decline in forestry means that we lose, it might lead to a potential destruction of our ecosystems and nature. And third, rural Japan is probably where many of our cultures and traditions lie. So a decline in rural Japan means a loss in cultures and traditions, such as traditional crafts, festivals, or even languages. And this is something that is not measurable in terms of money. Fourth, decline in rural Japan could lead to a meltdown in social welfare and security. And this is a threat, a big problem for people who choose to live in rural areas, especially the vulnerable people, such as the elderly people. And last but not least, a massive outflow of people from rural Japan to urban areas ironically means that now we have a lot of untapped and underutilized resources in rural Japan. And this could actually become a solution to overcrowding and other problems faced in cities. And this also provides business opportunities for people to utilize these underutilized resources. So as you can see, revitalization is not just about driving the local economy. It's not just about moving people from urban to rural areas. It's much more than that. And I see it as a balance between the three, oh sorry, this is the fifth point. It could be a solution to overcrowding and other city problems. So I see revitalization as a balance between the three aspects of sustainability. So it's a balance in terms of environment, society, and economy. So for example, revitalization means coexistence with our environment and a sustainable management of natural resources. It also means building a resilient community against disasters, embracing diversity, and attaining high quality of life. And revitalization also means a sustainable growth of local economies and a balanced distribution of wealth. So this is something I believe is not just confined in Japan, but this is very applicable and universal to every part of the world, especially because I think that many countries in the near future, will face similar problems as Japan. And that is why I believe that international people like ourselves, we have the responsibility to learn more about rural Japan and get in touch with the reality. So talking about regional revitalization, what is the Japanese government actually trying to do to solve this problem? So basically, they have a series of policies and programs for the different aspects to move people from urban areas back to rural areas, to improve on the physical and social infrastructure in rural Japan and so on. Let me give you one example. So this is what they call Chiki Okoshikyodokutai, the local community revitalization corps. This actually began before the establishment of the Regional Revitalization Agency, but it became more prominent after their establishment. So what happens is that if someone chooses to take part in this program and is selected, he or she gets to move to rural Japan to work for the local government or local company. And he gets basic income for up to 3 years. So what this person does can range from reviving deserted farmlands to the development and sales of local products that could potentially sell as local specialty brands. So the idea is to get young people to these areas to utilize their skills, such as design, IT, and so on, to inject fresh perspectives to the declining region. Yeah, so if you were to travel to a rural part of Japan and like full of old people, and then you see like a young person there, he or she is probably likely to be part of this program in these areas. So despite many criticisms and problems of this program, I believe that this is the right direction that Japan is moving, trying to incentivize people to move to rural areas for a meaningful purpose. However, from what I've researched and looked around for the past few years, I realized that a lot of these activities are targeted at the Japanese population. And as the Japanese population is declining and is projected to decline for the next few decades, on the other hand, we have an increase of international people in Japan, such as international students. So this graph shows the number of international students enrolled in Japanese universities, Japanese language schools, specialized institutes. So it's rising rapidly, and the Ministry of Education has a target to hit 300,000 international students by 2020. So this is going to increase for the next few years at least. And so this is the beginning of Associate Partners. So my idea is to connect the international community with rural Japan for two main reasons. So one is for us to learn about the charms, challenges of rural Japan, as well as the innovative solutions that's going on right now in rural Japan. And on the other hand, it is for the international community to inject fresh perspectives and international perspectives to rural Japan in order to contribute to this whole movement. That's right. So, however, I'm not trying to revive every single town in Japan because I think it's virtually impossible. Neither am I trying to move everyone back to the rural areas. This is also impossible. Neither am I trying to revive primary industries directly. So what I'm trying to do is to realign our relationship with rural areas. I think there's been a huge shift of relationship, a balance of relationships between the rural and urban areas. So I think it's time to realign our relationship and re-examine our connection with rural areas. And by connecting international people with rural Japan, we generate meaningful conversations with the locals, and we raise awareness about the problems and to realize the potential of rural Japan. And like I said earlier, this problem is not just Japan's problem. It could be your problems in your countries in the future. So simply we connect people, we engage in conversations and workshops with the locals, we learn about the problems and the solutions, and we contribute by injecting fresh perspectives. So right now I have a very simple video of what we do. Let's watch it. So this video shows a lot about the learning process, but I actually emphasize a lot, not just about learning, but also building harmonious relationships with the locals. So I actually spend a lot of time with the locals, like talking to them and building relationships, finding out the real need, and so on. Yeah, so revitalization is not just about bringing in money, it's also about building social capital and so on. And yeah, so this is what we do a lot, and it's part of my projects. So this is a picture that I like a lot. This is a picture that we took in Urahoro in Hokkaido. So this was our last day of our project, and we had a little party with the locals. And as you can see, we have our international students, we have people from the government, from education board, elementary school kid, the middle school student, the guy in the forestry industry, and the young man from the local community revitalization call. So I don't want to be just confined by the government's perspective. I want to hear the locals' voices. So that's why I talk to the locals to hear what is the real need that they have, and so on, how we can go about doing this together, and not just as an outsider. Okay, so let's go back to these three pictures. So first of all, these three places, Shimokawa, Ishinomaki, and Kamiyama, all three of them are part of the disappearing municipalities. So all three of them, by 2040, the population of young females is predicted to be halved. But secondly, these three places are actually very good examples of how they have used innovation to solve the problems that they face. So let's go through one by one. So in Shimokawa, its land area, 90% of its land area is covered with forest. So in other words, they have a very abundant amount of forest resources. And the government actually realized this potential more than 20 years ago, and they created and implemented policies to manage these forests in a very sustainable and efficient way. So for example, in Shimokawa, many of its trees are pine trees, or what they call todomatsu or karamatsu. So what they do is they use the wood of the pine trees to not just to like build buildings, make objects, but also they chop down the branches and the leaves, distill them to produce essential and aroma oil, which can be sold as a local product. And also, the unused wood chips and sawdust are being burnt to produce heat. So in fact, 60% of the public facilities in Shimokawa produce heat locally. So they try to lessen their dependency on heat production on outside sources. So they try to produce it by themselves. And some people are actually trying to produce energy by themselves as well. So for example, this is the white birch tree bark. So they use the bark to produce accessories and to be sold as a local product, which brings in money for the local economy. And this is a compact town in Shimokawa, where the residents, the post office, restaurants are all compact in one small area, so that elderly people can move around without much trouble. Yeah, and it's not really clear here, but the buildings are actually connected, especially the ones behind. They're connected so that in Shimokawa it snows a lot. So it's a very tiring task to remove snow in winter. So the buildings are all connected with shelter so that elderly people can move around without going out into the snow. So this is one example of Shimokawa. And Shimokawa was actually the SDGs Grand Prize recipient in the Japan SDGs Award this year. So SDGs, if you don't know, is the Sustainable Development Goals. And Shimokawa was one of the two municipalities in Japan that got this award. In Ishinomaki, more than 3,000 lives were lost in the Great East Japan earthquake. But on the other hand, many innovative projects sprung up in the aftermath. So the tsunami swept away literally everything in Ishinomaki. But this created a space for experiment and innovation. So many new startups started to come into Ishinomaki to try new ideas. So for example, Fisherman Japan is a startup that branched out of Yahoo Japan. They're trying to use IT and design to change the image of the fishing industry. So, so for example, so in this is their latest project. So they're trying to change the image based on like having a game concept. So each fisherman has a special skill to it. So this person is a specialist in catching oysters, and he has this skill. And then this guy is good at like shinkejimen, which is a way to kill the fish in a healthy way, and so on. So yeah, so they call it the sea hitman. Sorry. And you also have an IT startup in Ishinomaki, which is trying to teach local kids how to do programming and so on, so that the local kids don't have to go to Tokyo to learn it. They can learn it in Ishinomaki. And they're also trying to make Ishinomaki into like a Silicon Valley, where people can learn IT easily. And they actually, they just started a few years ago, and recently they took part in Tech in Asia, in Singapore, and many other IT events around the world. And Kamiyama is also very interesting. So Kamiyama's population actually, it literally halved over the past 30 years. But the government saw this declining population, and they started a series of policies and programs to prevent the population decline. So what they did was they improved the internet infrastructure in Kamiyama so that you can actually connect to Wi-Fi while sitting by the river. So this is a picture of like a guy working on his laptop while being connected to the internet. So this opened up Kamiyama to IT companies who wish to set up offices in a rural part of Japan so that they can provide an alternative lifestyle for its employees. So many companies, mainly from Osaka or like Tokushima City, they have a satellite office in Kamiyama where its employees can choose to live either in the big city or in Kamiyama, where you can do IT and farming at the same time. And also, this is a very old traditional building. So they renovated this building and made it into an office for the IT companies. So it's a combination of IT and also a way to reutilize old buildings that made Kamiyama one of the very successful examples of regional revitalization. That's right. So apart from these, I'm also involved in other projects that's concurrent. So for example, this year we'll be working with Fuji Xerox, the printing company, together with Yokohama National University and Minami Ashigara city government, which is in Kanagawa Prefecture. So what we're trying to do is to revitalize Minami Ashigara through permaculture and community gardening. So this idea is actually not a very new idea. People in Minami Ashigara are already doing community gardening. So it's a way of giving them a new perspective, saying that, by changing the phrase from, toshinoen, like community gardening in Japanese, to English, you actually get attention from the world. So we're trying to bring in international students, Japanese students, and local high school students to think about how we can make this into a more holistic project so that we can actually gain attention from the world and perhaps have interaction with other cities in the world that are doing similar stuff. And in Urahodo, in Hokkaido, we are working with a company called Revitalization to think about new ways of reutilizing the abandoned schools in Urahodo. So this is an abandoned school. We're trying to change it into an innovative hub, or with like restaurants and so on. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So this year we are working in these different places around in Japan, from Hokkaido to Kyushu. Each project has a very different theme to it. So because I think each region has a different need and different problem, a different solution. So we cannot actually just create one model and apply it to all the regions. Each region has to be unique in a sense. So in Shimokawa, it's about the forest and how we can create a sustainable society using forest resources and so on. Urahodo is about reutilizing abandoned schools and education, and so on. So this is what we're doing this year. And I believe what I'm doing is just a very, very small step in a very long process. So I don't have the ability to change Japan or change the world in an instant. It takes time, and it takes like a cooperative work with everyone. So not just myself, but also international students, local governments, local residents, the farmers, the fishermen, like NPOs, and so on. So I can't do this all by myself, and I need all of your involvement, like participation or help in spreading the word or in taking part in my projects and so on. So we do have a Facebook page. It's called So Say Partners. You can follow us and for latest updates. And also, we also have a series of summer programs this summer. So if you are a student and you're interested to join, we still have available slots. So feel free to contact me and be part of Japan's revitalization movement. Yeah. Thank you. So now I guess we have a Q&A session. So anyone has any questions to ask about anything?
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. What kind of free training do you provide
So basically, it is a very good question. So it depends on how much you want to get involved. So for like normal students, we just provide a basic background information about the place itself and about the situation in the city. So you don't really need to have a specific skill or anything if you just want to learn about it. But of course, if you're interested to be more involved in it by contributing your skill, we can always talk to local people, local governments, local organizations. They are actually open to such involvement. So because I'm just in my second year of establishment, I don't really have like a very concrete project of, like task A, task B, task C. So now we're still in the process of negotiating, talking to the locals and finding out what is the real need and what we can do to help contribute or to learn from them. Yeah, so we don't need any skills.
Yeah, I saw Seio on your map, which is a beautiful place. How did you find Seio?
Oh, Seio, oh, okay. Yeah, Seio is really beautiful. I just went there last month for the first time. For Seio,
in general, how do you find this place? Because Seio is beautiful, but 70% of the houses there are empty.
That's right.
So how did you find Seio? How did Tono, which is very beautiful as well, which, let's see, if you ever want to visit the place, Tono is mind-blowing. But how did you find them?
Okay. Well, in one word, it's connections.
Okay.
But one policy that I have is that I wouldn't go into the local region like forcefully. I wouldn't force myself into the region. There has to be someone to connect me with the local government or company or anyone. So basically for all these regions, it's through someone that I know that has connections with the local people, and they bring me in and saying that, okay, let's talk about it. Yeah. So for Seio, for example, I managed to get in through a person who is actually working in Urahoro. So he has a project, and he's the same person who is working in Kamiyama. So he's trying to revitalize Japanese regions, but so far he has only been targeting Japanese people. So when I met him, he was like, oh, let's do something with international people. So he brought me to Urahoro, Kamiyama, and Seio. Yeah, so it's through people that I know. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. So what you're focused on is getting international students to learn more about the countryside in Japan. And pretty much my conclusion of the presentation is that the government is focused on getting Japanese people to go back to the rural areas in Japan. What about all the immigrants or the refugees or the international people who are not students? So I've been living in Japan for 1 year, but to be honest, there's nothing in the presentation that makes me feel like I want to leave Tokyo and go live in some small city because there's some benefits that I get. Are there any openness from the government of Japan to kind of focus on people like us who could have benefits to move to those areas and help revitalize or improve the situation?
Okay, actually for the local community revitalization corps, it's actually not just for Japanese people. Anyone can actually sign up for the program and get basic income for 3 years and move to a rural area. Anyone can do that. But I think the only requirement for that is that the local government has to accept you. So maybe there's some barriers over there, I'm not too sure. Okay, so your question was about people who are not students and also refugees and so on. I believe that what I'm doing right now is, well, it's about learning and so on, but a second aim that I have is to let international students know more about rural Japan, and on the other hand, let rural Japan know more about international people. And because international students, I guess most students who are living in Japan to study speak Japanese to a certain extent. So this actually helps to lower the barrier of accepting foreigners. So I believe that Japan has to accept immigrants in the future, but it would be too sudden if to just let people just go into the rural areas and live now, because there's still a huge barrier. But by using international students as a first step to get used to different culture and different people, I believe that things are changing. So for example, for Ishinomaki, last year I had an intern who spent 2 months in Ishinomaki. He's from Mongolia. So it was the first time that many local residents actually met in Mongolian, and then at first they were all quite nervous and anxious about whether this person is gonna be alright and so on. But in the end, they became good friends and so on. And this year we are having a French intern who's going to Ishinomaki as well. So I'm trying to slowly, break down the barriers, telling them that we're fine, we're all the same people. We are just, there to learn from you, to live with you, and so on. So yeah, what I'm doing is like a first step towards accepting more international people from outside Japan.
I'm just wondering, if the other countryside, like their municipalities or the people there, are they willing to have more people? Because to me, it seems like it needs to be a voluntary. Like they really should do something to attract people by themselves. Especially municipalities can play a big role on that. Just wondering how's the points of the places you went to, or other areas, are they willing to get more people to that? And I think there's levels of work efforts each municipality is working on.
I think by accepting me into that region is already a sign showing that they're willing to accept more people. So I've been to places that they don't really accept me, so that probably means they don't accept anyone else. So so I think I don't really choose them; they choose me. So if they want to accept more people, they'll, for example, come to me first and say,
So you saying initiative needs to be done by themselves? It seems like it makes sense to me though.
So I think so what I do is normally these areas are actually already very active in revitalization, but normally only involves Japanese people. So if I can contact this person who is very active, like the active player, the main player, he or she probably knows the region better than I do, so he or she can decide whether this place is suitable or not, I guess. So I think it's both sides. So I would tell them that we have an interest to be part of your region, and if you're interested, we can talk. Yeah.
I think this kind of builds off this question, but you said every area needs its own kind of approach and solution, but what's of these places that have been willing to kind of look at change and have a certain level of readiness, what is it that brings them to that place? There must be some common thing that makes them decide we need to do something and this is one way to look at it. Is there some kind of common message that you've identified?
For now, I still can't find the common thing that connects all these different places, but to put it in a very ambiguous way, the people in these areas are more open, but this is very ambiguous, so I can't really have something that's measurable in this. Yeah, that's right.
I've lived in Japan a long time, and the sense for a lot of people, I live in a rural area as well, and just the idea of kind of shogunai, right? People are leaving, but I'm still just going to grow my vegetables every year, and so there's not kind of an urgency whoa, maybe this is a problem in the way that you defined right at the beginning, why is decline something we need to worry about? But what is it in these regions that get those people to see that kind of urgency and concern and that other regions don't?
I think perhaps, I guess the government plays a huge role in this. So for example, for Shimokawa, for Urahodo, and for Kamiyama, they actually have been doing this way before the word even came about, regional revitalization. So I guess the government saw this threat 20 or 30 years ago and then started to do something about it. And then the fruit of the labors just showed up recently. So for example, for Shimokawa, 90% of its land area is covered with forest, and their population actually decreased a lot in 1990s and so on. So what it did was the town bought the forest from the government, from the national government, using its own budget, using 80% of its own budget to buy it, believing that this will be all right. So they want to manage their own resources. So back then, it seemed like a bad decision because it spent 80% of its budget to buy forests. But now it's creating a very sustainable society. So I guess the change came about from the governments many years ago. So the same for Urahodo. For Urahodo, it has a very interesting education system. So what they do is, Urahoro has no more high school, so the last high school closed down like 10 years ago. So what it did was that it created what they called Urahoro style education. So it's connect students in elementary school and middle school with the local industries, so that they can instill local pride, hometown pride, to let them know about what they have in the region. So if they have to go out of the region for university, for high school, it will come back in the future. So they did this like 20 years ago, like Urahoro style education. Nowadays, you see people coming back into Urahoro to do something for the region. So maybe the government is playing a huge role here. Yeah.
As you mentioned, you kind of started not very long time ago, but what kind of projects you are, if you haven't come up yet, but what kind of projects you are trying to come up with together with a group of students and locals? What is like the scale of them? Do you have any example?
Okay, the scale of them. So, so like I mentioned earlier, it depends on how much the students want to get involved. So for most people, like summer vacation, like a short trip is fine for them. It's fine. So for the students, there are two big categories. One is the participants, and one is the active players. So the participants just take part for a few days, whereas the participants actually help me out with various things such as like design and so on. So the scale is like a normal trip involves about like 4 to 8 students. So we go there for just a few days. But before that and after that, I will be there together with any volunteers or any interns with the connecting projects together. So to ensure that this is sustainable and not just like a one-off event. Yeah. So it's about 4 to 8 students for one trip, but me and maybe one other person will be there to connect it with the next project.
Do you have like an example of a particular project?
Okay, so let's talk about okay, let's talk about Ishinomaki then. So for Ishinomaki, last year we had a group of 8 students join the learning program. So we had to learn about Ishinomaki and so on. So after that, I had 3 people come in for 1 week, 2 weeks, and 2 months, like staying in Ishinomaki to talk to the locals about what we're trying to do, to communicate our ideas to them. And yeah, and I'm still talking to Ishinomaki people, and so that was in spring this year. So in summer this year, we're going there again, now this time with participants as well as myself and an intern for 1.5 months, 2 months, staying in Ishinomaki. So that's like the scale that we're doing.
So it's just, sorry for taking so much
No,
time,
it's all right.
just to understand if you're really actually already developing some kind of a project that is for revitalizing the area, or for now you're more focusing on bringing those like students and making them familiar with it.
Oh, okay. So for now, my focus is more about learning and providing a platform for people who are interested to actually stay there and do something there. Yeah,
thanks.
Right.
I'm actually interested in your organization. You are a non-profit organization or a corporate? If the former, then how you are making your activities sustainable?
Okay, so I'm a for-profit corporation, and to be honest, I don't have a sustainable business model yet. So right now it's a very project-based thing. I work with local governments and companies and so on. So for example, Xerox is working with us with the CSR budget, and in Shimokawa it's the local government. Urahoro is the company called Relation. So it's very project-based. So it's not, I don't know, I guess this is somewhere between like non-profit and for-profit. But in terms of registration, it's a kabushiki gaisha. It's a for-profit company.
I'm just wondering, because there's a bunch of international people here. So,
Yeah.
so I'm curious that from me, like my Japanese perspective, it's like it would be really tough to move to countryside of Japan. From my perspective, because like I just love events and people and opportunities, and everything is in Tokyo or Osaka, I would say. So is there anyone like international people, like if you think you can move to countryside of Japan, do you mind raising your hands? So it's actually more than I thought, but so I'm just wondering what makes you like international for international people? Like why they want to live there? What makes them?
I think they can answer for you.
Yeah, because like it would be like really tough for me, so I'm just.
If I may, there are a lot of freelance developers that I know, a lot, who run away from Tokyo because they're fed up with the culture in Tokyo. And they want to live a different life. They want to concentrate on their work. And nowadays, when you're a developer or a web designer or whatever, you can do everything remotely. You can live on a boat somewhere near whatever you want around the Tokyo island, and you can still work. And you have a way better way of life over there. Everything is cheaper. The food is amazing. You should try it.
Right. I mean, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, like, it seems like there's people who like to move, so that's good.
We have a question over there.
Yeah. I'm really interested to know more about what the government, I would say maybe national government, has done to recognize this. I think there's a huge potential when you have more success stories in the future that the national government would be able to sort of like draw a common pattern between the individual success stories of the municipalities, and perhaps it can be used as something that they can export to other countries, right? As maybe part of their foreign policy or part of their strategic like international interest, and teach them the Japanese way of revitalizing their municipalities. So I'm just wondering if maybe you've received some recognition from national governments, or do you think that's the kind of direction that you want to go in the future with wellness?
Yeah, that is the direction I'm trying to go towards. But so far I do know some people who are working in the national government. I think they're trying to still wait and see the results. So they don't want to touch yet. Let me do what I want to do first, and then we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so it's still very uncertain, I guess, for the national government.
Oh, thank you, Giorgio, but we are running out of time for questions. So we are going to split in groups. So Dennis will be the facilitator, and we are also the volunteers that are all international students. I think we will have maybe to move this table back.
Okay.
So we have the time. So I let Dennis explain to you, but thank you, Dennis, for answering.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you have more questions, feel free to approach me later or send me an email. I'll give you my name card and send me an email and things like that. So this is the interesting part. So now it's the time to think about what I've just explained and perhaps give me some of the ideas and so on. So we split into 4 different groups, and each group will have a volunteer to facilitate the conversation. So, Lauren, are you going to move the tables back? Are we moving the tables back? Okay, so perhaps this table you move back.
I'm very surprised that we're talking about Seiyo.
Oh yeah?
No, I've been tasked by Seiyo, Ozu, and Ichiko.
Oh!
I spent several weeks
Not just like ideas, but also actual skills